The content presented on the following show is intended for satirical and educational purposes only. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by panelists and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the host, production team, or channel. Additionally, any third-party content featured in this program is used in compliance with fair use under United States copyright law, which allows for commentary, criticism, news report, teaching, and research. Viewer discretion is advised, and we encourage independent thought and discussion.
Psych!
Who's calling that shit? Who's calling that shit? Who's calling that shit? Who's calling that shit? Who? Yeah. OVO Sound 2025.
Welcome, everyone, to the official debate section of the Charter Review.
All right, I didn't come here to argue with you.
Oh, yes, you did. We're having a debate. Debate ain't nothing but an argument.
Doctor, can we relate? Can we relate? Can we debate? I want debate. I talk the cake. All about cake. Can we debate? Can we debate? Can we relate? Can we relate? Can we debate? I want debate. I talk the cake. All about cake. Can we debate? 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 Can we debate?
Thank you very much. And your rebuttal, Mr. Carville.
We have no response. But that was perfect.
Welcome to Sunday edition of the Team Fatty Show. We have a double header today. First, we're going to start with the Rage in the Cage. We're going to have fun, and then we are going to have the infamous ladies for show today at 5 p.m. Is one man enough for this mother woman? We're going to have a lot of lovely ladies. Your canal is going to be in the building, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I want to thank Mr. Spunzaza for being the sponsor of the last show with $139. And without further ado, we are going to go at it. I want to welcome on the right corner, Mr. Martae is in the building. Martae already an Hall of Famer. We decided to bring Martae again because the first time he went viral. I don't know if for the wrong reasons or the right reasons, but Sister X didn't allow it. So I appreciate you, Martae, for being here. And you have a young bull in the building, Mr. Mays Jenkins. He is in the building. Thank you very much. Here, Mays. Okay. The rules of the debate are simple. We're going to have a 2-hour debate. Okay. On the last 30 minutes, we are going to do a little bit of Q&A before we go to the ladies first. If you have a question, $10 it is. And we're going to read the questions on the last 30 minutes to the fellas. If not, I'll make sure I have a couple of questions for them to make sure that they stay on their feet. Okay, so we're going to see who is going to go first. Let me go ahead and let me spin the wheel. So between Marty and Mays, the title of the show: female friends are not good for men. Female friends are not good for men. Mays is going to go first with the opening statement. Let me go ahead and put the 2-hour clock. Is in the bottom, rolling. And we go from there. So, friends, Marty and Mays, are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's close the cave.
Lock the cage doors at this time.
Get the fuck up. Simon says, get the fuck up.
No, you're going nowhere. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. Ah!
It's time to do.
Mace, you have the floor. Go ahead. The clock is rolling.
So when I hear that female friends can't be good friends for men, my position on that is I believe the complete opposite. You know, as somebody who has friends who are women, they're some of my greatest friends, some of my best friends. I've known them for years. I'm actually planning one of their weddings right now. But the way I look at it is I believe there's benefits to it when it comes to just the emotional aspect. I believe that there's some emotional security in having a woman as a friend. You know, you have somebody that you can actually talk to, somebody that can empathize with you, because women do tend to be more emotionally intelligent than men. They tend to have the capacity to actually like show a lot more empathy. And I do believe that there's some sort of societal pressure that comes along with that, you know, with a lot of men being raised to not show emotion, being raised to tough it out, man up. Men don't cry because it's seen as a sign of weakness. And as somebody who's also had conversations with a lot of men, I just don't have that. I guess I wouldn't say deep conversation, but I don't have enough deep conversations with a lot of men. when I talk to them, a lot of times it leans into three main topics: sex, money, and I guess you could say status. A lot of men put sex on a pedestal. That's all they will really talk about. They'll put their money on a pedestal and talk about it. They'll put their status where they are in society and they'll talk about it. Some of them will talk about going to the gym or their workout regimen. And I believe those are also great conversations. But when I want to have a conversation with somebody, I want it to be something with substance to it. You know, like if you're going through something, talk about it. Don't keep that in, because that's only going to make things worse for yourself. And I believe having a woman as a friend can benefit you in a way in that sense, because you can have a lot more in-depth conversations with them, because they actually have a lot more things that they talk about outside of sex and money and power and status. Are sexual conversations common amongst women? Yes, they're common amongst everybody. But it's really that just emotional level that I have with them. And with my female friends that I do have, I don't look at it as inherently sexual. That's why I look at it on the side of like men who say you can't be friends with women. I feel like there's like this sexual aspect that they throw into it, where it's like a man would only be friends with a woman because he wants to sleep with her, because he wants to get with her, when that's not always the case. That's not always the case. Not every man wants to sleep with every woman that he becomes friends with. Some of them just like having them as a friend. Some of them view them as sisters. Some of them view them as cousins. Some of them view them as just standard friends. It's nothing too far out of that spectrum. There will be cases where you do see a man who does befriend a woman and it does become sexual, but that's not all the time. It's just not. I don't want to sleep with every female friend that I have. I don't want to sleep with most of them, because most of them I do look at as sisters. They're just friends that I've grown to love and care for as I do for my own sister or my own cousins. So when I hear them talk, when I hear a lot of men say, "Oh, you only want to be friends with her because she got a fat ass or because you want to sleep with her," I'm just like, no. It's because she's cool. It's because we catch a vibe. We chill. It's like I don't understand the whole you have to be friends with a woman to sleep with her. You don't. Some people just sleep with people without being friends. It's one of those things. It's like if you sleep with them, you sleep with them. If you don't, you don't. And so ignore all the sexual aspect of being friends with a woman. It holds no real like weight within that discussion. And also, being friends with a woman isn't a bad thing. It's not. It's not like they're going to hold you back. If they're a good friend, they're going to help build you up. They're going to be there for you. They're going to care about you just like they do with all their other friends. So I don't understand it. Now, I probably could have my mind changed or get some insight on it. But just from my own personal experiences, it being friends with a woman it's not a bad thing. They can actually make good friends, just like anybody else. You can be good friends with a man, just like you can with a woman. A lot of women like the same things as men. A lot of them do like video games. A lot of them do like sports. A lot of them do like guns. A lot of them like going to the gym. A lot of them do like a lot of the same stuff that we do, but we wouldn't know that unless we become friends with them. We would not know any of that unless we choose to talk to them outside of the sexual spectrum. So it's one of those things of you actually have to put yourself in that position to actually understand what being friends with a woman is like. And also being friends with a woman, there are for some reason there are men out there who will say, "Oh, you got so many female friends, but you barely have any male friends. You must be gay. You must not like hanging around men." And I'm like, no, I just connect with them. I do have male friends. I just don't connect with them on the same level. Do we have a lot of stuff in common? Absolutely, we do. But I just don't have that same connection that have with women. Now, that might be because I was raised amongst a lot of women. I didn't really have a lot of men in my life that were decent men. So that might be a case of that. But that's just my own personal experience. And I know a lot of men that I am friends with who have the same experience. A lot of them were raised around a lot of women. And because they didn't have a lot of decent men in their life growing up, so they tend to become friends with women faster and easier than men. But I will also say that when it comes to being friends with a woman, even outside of the emotional spectrum, a lot of times being friends with a woman can even benefit how you carry on throughout your dating life, because only a woman knows what a woman wants. A man can speculate what a woman wants and what a woman desires in a relationship, but only a woman will actually know. So they can help you in that sense. They can teach you. You can learn something from them, just like they can learn something from us. We only know what men like. They can only speculate it. So that's where that gap can be bridged of just being friends. You can learn something from each other. So, and another example is like if a woman wants to go into a specific field, especially a field that's heavily dominated by men, like if they want to go into blue collar work, they can ask a man, hey, how did you get into this? What are the steps I need to take to going about this? And a man can be like, okay, well, this is how you do this, and this. This is the school you can go to. These are the certificates you can get. And that can build a friendship there. So now you have somebody that can teach you how to get into this field of work, get into this line that you want to, like, line of income that you want to go down. They can help you with that, and that can build a bond, even on a business level. So just being friends with a woman does have its benefits. And I will say, just like any friendship, even being friends with a man, it does have its drawbacks. Every friendship will have its drawbacks regardless of gender. So being friends with a woman can come with the drawback of maybe she's always trying to push you into doing something that you may not like. That may be a little too feminine for you, but that's because your own personal preference. Just like with a man, he can push you into doing something that maybe that you're not with. You know, a lot of men who are in like the whole toting guns, red pill mindset. There are men out there that aren't into that. So having those friends can kind of draw you back as well. So there can be friendships that have negative and negative and positive benefits to it, but those are outside of like them being a woman or them being a man. That's their own personality that has those drawbacks. Their gender has no weight on it whatsoever, in my opinion, at least. And so when I like I said, when I hear men talk about not being friends with women, it just doesn't sit right with me, because it makes me sit there and think, what women are you talking to that makes you think you can't be friends with a woman? Who are the women that you have seen, who you have interacted with, that make you think you cannot be friends with a woman? Is it because of things you've seen on the internet? Is it because of personal experiences you've had with women? Is it because of a personal experience that you had with a singular woman? Is it because of experience that your friends have had? Like, I don't understand it when they talk about it as such a generalized statement of you can't be friends with a woman. You can't be friends with a specific woman. Like me personally, I wouldn't be friends with a woman who's out here always clubbing every night, because that's not my type of scene. That's not my type of thing. I like being in the house. I like going to the gym, and I like going on late night drives, minding my business. I can't be out here in the club all the time. And I'm 22. Imagine being 22 years old saying you don't want to go to the club all the time. Most 22-year-olds will not say that. A lot of them do like going out to clubs, do like going out drinking, do like going. I'm not one of those 22-year-olds. So I personally would not be friends with a person who likes doing that. I wouldn't, because like now you're doing this one thing that I'm not with, and you're gonna try and get me to go out with you all the time when I don't want to. I can't do that. I wouldn't be friends with a woman who's out here in the streets hanging around thugs, who's out here selling dope. I wouldn't be friends with a woman who is constantly in and out of jail because of something stupid she did. It's all about who the person is. It's
30 seconds, Mace.
It's never about the gender. So yeah, that's just my stance on it. But
Martae,
I'd love to hear what he has to say about it.
Martae, you have 12 minutes, but if you want to just have 30 seconds, is okay too. Okay.
Good. I won't even need all that time. I appreciate it. So real quick preface here. My opponent came up with the whole sex diatribe about, sex being a factor, whereas, men can't be friends with women, right? Because of sex. My whole intro isn't even going to include any bit and part of sex, believe it or not. I don't even have to approach it from the sex angle as to why this is bad, right? My opponent today will probably be taking the pro-woman approach to this, which I see. And by pro-woman, I mean feminist point of view. This is what I mean. He may tell me that women can't be excluded from our circles of friends because, as he said in his opening, we have to live in society, work with them, and even run into women. He would be totally right to a degree. The funny thing is we can't avoid women. That's where he's right. And we do need women as wives and in service roles. That's where I agree. We can be friendly to women and kind to women because men, for the most part, are benevolent. And being so friendly and kind is definitionally benevolent. My definition of a friend is a person whom one knows and with whom has a bond of mutual affection, typically exclusive of sexual and family relations. See, I just omitted sex there, and I'll continue to do that too. Mostly liberals and feminists will tell men that they are insecure if they can't have male friends. This is a very, very crazy covert tactic that they use. This tactic is extremely devious. I'll point out how. Just like anyone being accused of being racist, they will go out of their way to show you they're not racist. Women will say this so that a guy can say, "Sure, Susie, go ahead and have fun. I know Fred's a good guy." It's no different than, "Sure, Susie, I know you'll have a lot of fun on your trip to the Bahamas with the girls." So I'm sure my opponent would agree with this definition. I just don't agree with the tactics it's used for. However, if he is to agree with this definition, there are glaring issues and there cannot be mutual affection or a mutual bond. I'll also point that out in this debate. Let's say I go out with a friend, my friend Andrew, for a drink. We walk into a bar. Most likely we'd fight over who pays, to which it becomes closing time and we go our separate ways. Now let's flip this. And I go meet my friend Rachel, and she meets me out front. I open the door because if I was with Andrew, he can get it himself. Since I'm a gentleman, there's no fight for the tab. I automatically concede and pay as well because I'm a gentleman. She's a lady, right? It becomes dark outside and we have to part our ways. I finish my drink. Oh, damn, Maze. I have to make sure she gets to her car safe because if I was with Andrew, most men would think it's weird to walk a guy to their car. Let's be real. On the way to her car, she can get mugged. I now have to risk my life for a woman that I don't go home to or am married to. And before you say any man should do this for a woman if she's getting mugged, we know that if my friend Andrew was there, our odds of survival would increase dramatically because there's two men. The force doubles. She, by comparison, would be a liability by stats alone if it was 2v2 in our society. I'll ask you a question and I'll point it out too. In our society, our fathers never had a bunch of female BFFs around them. What about their fathers or their fathers' fathers? This is a new experiment. We can now even dive into this as well. Personally, I have a very strict rule myself, and it's that I do not have female friends unless they are my wife's female friends. And guess what? I'm not married. So if she's not my wife's friend and it's a friendship my wife does not know about, I'm just going to say there's no way to go ahead and justify this. Let's just say that nobody has feelings and nobody makes any moves. People still talk and everybody's perception of how things look is different. So even by perception, things can look like things are happening. This also isn't good. So even by intention, if I had a wife and she didn't know you, neither do I. That's my whole point. Female friends are an illusion. Without a barrier such as a husband or job, which only makes it a glorified acquaintance, becoming a husband could end you because a husband could end you and a job can fire you. Without these filters, it's not real. We need barriers in place because it's not to say that I'm going to cheat or anything would happen, but why would anybody put themselves in a position of losing a job or having another husband ending you? I want my opponent to answer 2 questions for me. And if he cannot, the debate's over. Here are the questions. Number 1, can you tell me how a female friend would not be more of a liability in a man's life compared to a male friend? So I not only came with the problem, I came with the solution as well too. Number 2, can you tell me how the unequal power dynamics between men and women don't end up exploiting men in the long run? I need my opponent to answer this because at the foundation of this lies the whole debate. I concede my time.
So we now open the back and forth, okay? So you guys can go ahead and exchange with each other. Once again, I'll repeat to the people in the crowd, $10 and up for questions that you want to ask to the panelists for on the last 10 minutes. If you want to open the Shadow Realm, $100. Go ahead, Mace. You can.
Yeah, go ahead, Mace.
Whatever you got.
Okay, so
well, hold on real quick. I do want to address something. In your opening statement, you had stated that you need female friends and you need to be friends with females to know what they do and what they're into.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't know this by observation, societal norms, and just seeing groups of women and doing certain things. We can't know that otherwise. We have to be friends to know what they're into.
The reason I say that is because it's a discussion thing. You're not going to know just by observing, because like that's an observation. Like I could say, oh, his favorite color is black because your background is black, your shirt's black. How do I know that that's your actual favorite color though? That's just me observing. Just because a woman likes going out to the club every once in a while, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, she obviously likes clubbing a lot. Maybe she just likes going every once in a while. Maybe she just likes hanging out with her friends and it just happens to be at a club. I don't really know everything that she's into. I'm not.
Fair point.
Yeah, I mean, you're not.
But I'll ask you this: do you think that she needs to be my friend to tell me any of this stuff?
I feel like that would be better because then it opens up a lot more. You're not going to be able to know too much if they aren't like an actual friend, because friends will open up to you about more than just a stranger on the street.
Okay, what you're talking about is personal stuff. The color black and going to the club is not a personal thing, in my opinion. These are things we can know absent of friendship. I need to know, like, what is the benefit of me being friends with her as opposed to me just knowing her socially? Like, let's say I go to work with Sandra. Just is making names up real quick. I go to work with Sandra and Sandra just happens to tell, hey, I'm going to the club later, things like this. Like, these are things that we could find out in the workplace, things like that. For personal stuff, I would agree with you. You do need to be friends with somebody, but that's the thing though, is that you do need to become friends with for personal thing. And that opens up the whole dilemma that I talked about. Going back to this, I don't think that, and this is my pushback, I don't think that you need to become friends with somebody to know their favorite color, that they go to clubs and things like this. These are things that, I mean, would anybody tell somebody they were going to the club afterwards if they're getting off a shift?
You'd be surprised. Some people would.
Right. So here's the thing though. If they don't tell you that they're going to the club and you're not a coworker and they're not your friend and things like this, right? Would you presuppose that, if they're not going to tell you they're going to the club, even though they're not your friend, they wouldn't even tell you if they're your friend anyways? because of you as a person. If they couldn't tell, would you agree that if I'm not going to tell Bob that I'm going to the club, I'm probably not going to be friends with Bob to tell him that I'm going to the club afterwards anyways, right?
That's a fair point.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So I don't think that a friendship is crucial or fundamental or needed at a work environment and social settings or anything like this. These are run-of-the-mill things that we tell each other. Hey, I'm stopping by Walmart. You need anything? This is like something I could tell even an associate. Like I said, they're glorified acquaintances at best. I'm not saying that. Also, you said a lot of women are into male things. That's one thing that caught me off guard. You were talking about if a woman wants to do a male jobs. Now, I'll remind you, 87% of the infrastructure jobs are worked by men, and this is by choice. The odds of a woman saying, hey, can you tell me how to be a plumber or a roofer, extremely rare. You're pulling like this is an extremely rare occurrence. You know, and if we're talking about something that's not even rare, I'll even give you, let's say it's a job that's a customer service job, right? This is something she can ask another woman. This isn't like male gender specific. When you talked about men working certain jobs, I'm thinking like plumber, things like how can I get into a male dominated position? Not only is it rare, but it's extremely tough. Their bodies break down. Injuries are higher. They don't last in these positions. And I'm just saying, I'm telling you the facts here. We could look this up as well too. Also, like I said, 87% of men work infrastructure jobs, and I think 14% work in infrastructure jobs that are women. You cut that in half because actually more than half of that is doing administrative work, office jobs. I doubt they're asking men, hey, how do you work the front desk and do the administrative position work at this construction site? Because there's a lot of women that do work those jobs, but they work jobs that they can easily ask other women to do. Like, how do you file this paperwork, Sally? Things like that. So I need you to go ahead and reconcile this for me, how in any position where a woman could just say, hey, how do I do this plumber job or whatever that is? It just boggles my mind because the numbers and stats don't show any of this.
Okay, so as somebody who did actually work in manufacturing, I worked at a manufacturing plant. We had quite a lot of women in there who weren't working in administrative. Actually, most of our administrative area was flooded by men. Most of it was men. Even our HR, like even the head of HR was a man. So, but we had a lot of women who were line operators. We had a lot of women who drove around on the forklifts. We had ones that were working, because I worked in a spice factory. So we had a lot of them who worked on the dumpers, a lot of them who were actually dumping the spices down the funnels. We had a lot of them who were actually like packaging up the boxes and loading the boxes onto pallets and moving pallets around. And my father, he had the same thing going on because he worked at the Starbucks factory where I live at. Same thing going on over there. Then he also worked at another factory a few years ago. Same thing over there. A lot of women in today's society are seeking these higher paying jobs because they understand the pay is higher. They do want to work these jobs. For a very long time, women were disenfranchised within working in these places. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing for those time eras, because those eras were extremely unsafe as far as regulations go and how dangerous the job itself was. But in today's generation, there are a lot more safety precautions that we take that allow these women to be able to work in these jobs in a safe and healthy manner. I want to say my line operator at my manufacturing company, at the manufacturing plant I worked at, she had been there for like 20 years when I had got there. So she was there since I was like 2 years old.
Can I ask you a question real quick? I'm just going to interject real quick. So you said your line operator had worked there for, you said approximately 20 years, you said?
Yeah.
What exactly does she do with her work? Like what does she do? Does she like load crates? Does she just direct? What does that position entail?
So the line operator, they have to make sure the machine itself is running. They have to load on the film. They have to check the entire line. That includes the dumper that actually, like, all the spice falls down into the bottles. They have to make sure that the labeler, the machine that puts the glue on the labels, is ready to go.
Okay, so there's no physical work there that's
Oh
included
no,
with that.
she has
Like
to
very
do
minimal.
No. So she also has to do the bottle dumper, which the bottle dumper is you're picking up these boxes and then it's smaller boxes of bottles. You dump them into a bigger box and then you have to use the pallet jack, push it into the machine. Then you have to let the bottles dump in, but then she also has to climb on top of other machines to make sure that the labels are on there right. She has to with the bundler, which is actually what wraps the spice bottles together, it has these pushing mechanisms, and if it breaks the mechanism on it, it's something that you have to like push backwards. But I don't know exactly like how much force, but
It
will
doesn't
try to
sound like it's
resist.
very, very physically demanding. It sounds like it's tedious. I mean, I'll give you that. It sounds like it's tedious. I'm not talking down to women when I say this. It sounds like somebody went into a room and they're like, all right, I'm just going to reorganize, and these closets need to be emptied because I'm doing spring cleaning, this and that. It sounds like it's tantamount to that. Like, to be honest, it doesn't sound like heavy machine operating as far as like physically demand. Doesn't sound like roofing, anything close to that. Plumbing takes a lot of force. Things like, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds very tedious, but I'm not hearing anything as far as that. Moving on, I think that I understand your position as far as like women working these positions, but I think there's a threshold that we run into as far as physically demanding positions. It sounds like something that almost anybody could do. But if we talk about things like roofing, if we talk about things like plumbing, these are not things that most anybody could. I mean, I could talk anecdotally. There was a woman that went into plumbing. She only lasted like 4 months because she was like, I have to hold so much and lift so much over a period. It's just, I can't do it. My body's breaking down. I'm not hearing that when we talk about this position. It sounds like, heavy, tedious operations as far as like organizing, checking things, inspecting. Like, sure, I get this. A lot of this is associated with, I hate to say it, administrative work, checking the paperwork, crossing the things like it sounds like that. I'm not dumbing down her job and say it's not physically demanding. I'm just saying it's just more tedious than physically demanding from what I hear. The other thing you had said is that the sexes can push each other into things that they don't want to do. That's a very compromising thing to even say. And the reason why I'll say this is it goes back into the force dynamics. If you have Fred telling you, hey, let's go do this devious thing, and it ends up going south, Fred can defend you. You have two men. If a woman asks you to do things, you might have to die for a woman because she's a liability and you're going to have to protect her. There's a massive difference because we have my buddy Andrew Wilson came up with this theory called force doctrine. And if you have, men, there's this huge power differential between the sexes that you'll have. If I'm with a man and we're walking out of a bar, right? And I don't, like you said, and I'll give you an example. This is a hypothetical. You said sexes pushing each other into things they don't like sometimes, right? You said both of them can do this. Granted, I'll give you that. Both of them can push you into things that you don't want to do. I don't drink personally. I'll even tell you this right now. I don't drink, but I get talked to into going to the bar. I don't like drinking. I'm just going to have one drink. I don't like we're going out late. It's a neighborhood I've never been into. In any of this stuff, right? But I'm gonna leave the house and go, right? My boys bring me out, and my boys meaning 2 or 1 boy. We go out and we leave. Next thing you know, there's a gang down the street, and we're like, we're wearing the wrong color. Whatever happens, black on black crime happens. I see them. We got to throw down. I'm like, damn, we got to do this. It's gonna go down. I have Fred with me. Then I have James with me too. It's on. We can do this. If I'm walking with Sally and Susie, I'm going to have to tell them to run while I fend these 3 people off to whoever it is to buy time so that way they can run it. they're not helping me out at all. This is a liability. This could be anything. Like, let's say if I'm going to go ahead and pass off things that are illegal substances, something like that. Hey, I'm going to do a run. Can you go with me? You know, because I want to make sure I'm safe. A guy can easily say that to another guy and say, hey, I'm going to do this deal, Craigslist. I'm going to go ahead and sell this janky product. He might get pissed off and find out it's fake. You know, if he finds out it goes south, I need you there if something happens. There's two guys. It's me and Fred there. You know, if it's me and Susie is nothing more than a liability to me because she can't help. I mean, she could scream. We could. I mean, that's going to be a bad argument. We can go down to if she's going to be a good defensive strategy for me if this goes south. But normally, men are protectors. If something's going to happen to her, whether or not it's a battlefield in Ukraine, anything happens, and if she's on the front line, which they're never on the front lines, by the way, and her gun jams, and then somebody's crossing the trenches and running towards her, I'm going to have to drop my gun, run over because I know that she's going to be overpowered. The same thought process happens if we're on these streets and then something happens and goes south. I'm going to have to forego my safety, use my force, right? Use my speed, all this other stuff, because most men have way more of a monopoly on force than women. I can go over to her and I would say, hey, get behind me, something. And even there's also the phenomena of, you know, women starting things, right? If a woman starts a fight with somebody in the street, and this is what happens when you have a loudmouth girl. I had a girl on my last podcast that was really loud, right? Possibly put me in the throes of death in some situation where I can get caught up in the streets, get shot, something happen. If that starts, now I am in a situation where she's a liability. Get behind me while I take these bullets for you. You're not my wife. That's my whole thing. If there's Fred, and it could happen, you're right. It could happen on both sides too. Fred goes ahead and starts off a situation where he's a loudmouth, has a huge ego, starts a lot of stuff. He's a fire starter. Okay, now it's me and Fred fighting. At least I got another man, equal or greater force next to me. That's the thing. So I want you to go ahead and reconcile how it's more beneficial, which goes back to my original question, for a woman to be your friend compared to a male friend if a situation goes south.
So I'm actually live on Instagram also. Somebody in the chat just made the point of if she's able to go and fight in the army, because women in the army do go on the front lines. Even during the Afghani war, women were out in the field frontlining. They had their guns. They had to do what they had to do.
That's actually false.
It's not. I
wrote a book on this. I've done so much research on this. The book's coming out. It's called The Female Warrior Fallacy. We can go ahead and look over the stats. I can actually let you go look online and look this up too, as well too, if you want to go ahead and use the cheat code, because women are not on the front lines. They are in the military as far as support roles. That's about it. But there's a reason why, because if you have a female POW and they get caught and shit goes south, it's a really, really bad situation for us politically. If we have a female POW, we do not want this to happen. The things they would do to this woman if she gets caught are 10x worse politically than if a guy gets caught. Because Maze, would you agree that female life is more valuable than men's in society? Men are more expendable. Would you agree with that?
I believe everybody's expendable.
Well, no, what I'm talking about is men being more expendable, meaning like we have men that get conscripted to go to war because are women enlisted in selective service? Is that a thing that happens?
No, and I don't think men should have to either.
Great. Well, that's the thing though. Women's lives are held to a much greater societal value than men's are. I'll give you a good point. Would you agree that men have died on sinking ships as the women and kids floated off on life rafts and boats? Has that always been a thing?
Throughout all of history or just Western culture?
All of history, even. For the most part.
Throughout all of history, for the most part?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah, but there are also cultures that women do tend to help out and be in masculine roles. You can take the Native Americans, for example.
That's the thing, though. It even fails with that, too. So I doubt that if women do any of that stuff. The reason why I say mostly is because you'll rarely hear of a situation where women run into buildings, if there are men around, competent, good men, to save kids, people, things like this. It's usually who? It's usually men, right? To do things like this. Men will take the bullet. They'll sacrifice their life in dying for a woman. Things like this have always happened societally. You'll never hear of situations. It's rare, but if you hear about situations like this, it's because there's not a man around and she has no choice, right? So I'm just explaining to you how societally, how I see this. If a car's driving down the road and it explodes and there's 2 construction workers and there's 2 guys, it'll make the news maybe for a day. If it's driving down the road and it explodes and there's women, you're going to hear about this all week. They need to go ahead and do updates and recalls on the car. They're going to go ahead and do others. They're going to shut down the road. They're going to put a memorial, all this other stuff. You know, we remember there's going to be a damn near a campaign. It's different. Women's lives are held to a higher standard than men's are. That's why you'll have things like simps, white knights, things like this. Where can you tell me where are the female simps for guys? Is that a thing? Does that exist?
I have
that
a girlfriend. Yeah, it does.
Culture, there's a differential as well too.
I mean, I have a girlfriend, so yeah, it does exist. It's just that I won't say that we.
Do you think mostly or less exists?
I believe if you actually go out there and look around, you will find a lot of women who like fiend and simp over men. You will find.
Cool. Do you see this normally online and rapid in even in comment sections, things like this? Do you see this?
In my personal experience, yes. In my personal experience, yeah, I do.
Is it mostly happening or less happening less than men doing it?
For me, like if I'm on Instagram, I see it equally on both sides. I'll be scrolling through the comments and I'll see a man who most women would deem attractive, and they will just be flooding that comment section saying, "I need him.
Okay,
I want him. That's a good-looking man."
Let's dumb it down, not to be too reductive. Let's dumb it down. Let's say it's an average man and an average woman. The average man, he's at the pool, doesn't work out, doesn't do anything, and he's got a photo up, right? And he's like, okay, we're going to wait for female simps to show up and comments and things like that. Then you have the average woman in a bathing suit. Who's going to get the most response for this post?
I will say women, but I don't look at that as hang on. I won't say that that's a byproduct of women just existing. I will say that that is a byproduct of how men view women themselves.
Well, if that's a byproduct of how women view themselves, wouldn't that be attached to some sort of value that women have?
That value is also handed to them by men.
Right. It's handed to them by men.
We have structured that ourselves.
Do you think that we've structured that or we've allowed that?
No, we have structured it. Throughout all of history, men have looked at women regardless of clothing, regardless of what they look like. I don't want this to come off as me being demeaning or anything, but when it comes to there are men who will look at a plus size woman and be like, need that, want that, because they like plus size women.
Cool. Do you think that happens for men?
Yes, there are women who love
plus size men. You think plus size men are looked at as the same value as a plus size woman in society?
There are women who look at plus size men. My girlfriend's dad, that's a hefty man right there. No disrespect to him. Love him to death. Love the man. His wife?
I find it hard to believe. The reason why is because in society, you'll never see a plus size man get a modeling contract. Meanwhile, you'll see a BBW get a modeling contract and also praised. She'll even get demonized for losing weight. We have several examples like Adele, other examples, things like this. We don't see that. So I'm not really seeing you being able to reconcile this as far as.
But why is that? Who set that up for these plus size men to not get these jobs? Who are the ones making men feel bad for not being skinny or fit? It's predominantly men.
Well, that's the thing, though. I'm still not seeing it as far as like the value, as far as like in going back to my original question. I don't see how you're you're really making a good argument as far as like male lives being less, being more valuable or equal value to women. I don't really see that in society. We don't see that either, even through historicity, through history or anything like that. I don't see any of this.
Okay, so the way I personally look at, I believe every human life is, well, in some cases, I will limit this to, if you are a decent human being, you aren't out here, fiddling with kids and whatnot. I believe your life is valuable. I believe you have value. But when we're talking about the value of lives between men and women, society, specifically men, have structured it in a way where a man's life will be seen as less valuable because we personally have put women on that pedestal. We personally have structured it to where women will be seen as these, as a demographic that needs to be protected and upheld and seen as safe, whereas men will be willing to put their lives on the line for that, all completely diminishing their own personal value. And then that branches off into how society looks at it. Society, when they see a pattern, they're going to go with that pattern, and it's going to deem this result of this is less valuable than this. But we have to get to the root cause of why is it seen that way. And then you start getting to the root cause of men sit there and push this idea that men's lives are less valuable than women. Once that stops being pushed, then you can get to that even footing of, okay, your life is just as valuable as hers. She is.
So I think we'll never be able to get to this even footing. I don't think we'll ever be able to get to this, and I'll tell you why. The reason why we'll never be able to get to this even footing is because I'll ask you one question. I'm going to go down to like a reductive point. Who do you think is a stronger sex physically, men or women?
Biologically, it would be men.
Right. So it's men. So if men are the greatest chance of survival, who do you think would die more when it comes to situations where life preservation is extremely important?
Say that one more time.
So when it comes to preserving a life, who would be the best chance of survival? Meaning defending life and preserving life.
I mean, if we're talking just based off physical strength, a man would. But
yes,
there's
this
also
is most situations delve into this. So if we think about this, that would have to change for society to move into us being equal to some point to where, women aren't running away and being saved, meaning that their lives are that more valuable because of the way that we are designed in function, duty, responsibility, because whoever has the monopoly on force has a duty to protect and provide, because why put somebody weaker than you in softer, or whatever you want to, whatever taglines you want to put on there, in the role of having to protect and defend. If they're the last chance of survival, you don't want to do this. This is why this will never happen. And that's the crazy part that I'm hearing right now is we'll never get to this point. Is if we can if you can ever find a way to reconcile this through genetic testing, through CRISPR or any of these other technologies we have, we'll never be able to get to the point where these lives are equal of value because our functions and duties are different. We have different purposes and different designs. And that's what I'm saying. I do have a question though, not to move along too fast.
Before you ask your question, can I ask my question?
Go ahead.
So you're talking about duties and responsibility, but you're also talking about biology and genetics and things of that nature. Do you believe that the duties and responsibilities are tied or like inherently there because of genetics? Like, do you believe that just because you're biologically stronger or physically stronger that you do have a duty to protect?
Yes, we do. Because
the thing is, I don't believe that because just because you're physically stronger does not mean you are more capable of taking something on. You can be as physically strong as you want. This is very apparent within combat sports. There are combat sports
that up because that's where I was going to go.
There are combat sports that prove that just because you're physically stronger, that does not mean that you're going to be able to take somebody out. As long as this person, no, because
Maze, why do they have weight classes?
They have weight classes. The weight class thing is rooted in physical strength.
Wait, hold on. I thought it wasn't physical.
No, the weight class thing is rooted in physical strength due to how much you can lift and maneuver a person. But the excess force and the technique is what really can determine if you can win that fight. Do you think a bodybuilder, just because they can lift 300 pounds, is going to take out John Jones?
So here's the thing, though, is that we can point out to all you're doing is pointing out outliers and exceptions to the rule. We can do this, but by and large, do you think that if we threw weight classes out because physicality doesn't matter, which you've already said that it does matter, which goes against your whole point of saying, well, no, it's because of force and technique. Well, they must be married at some point because you have to have force and technique. If you have all technique, but you have no force, that's going to be a deficiency in technique. But if you have force, but you have no technique, that's going to eat up your force. So we have to think about things like this from this dynamic. Would you agree that most men who are stronger would be more equipped and better at handling physical issues when it comes to the detriment preservation of lives of other people? Do you want the weaker people to do this because, just the technique on the front lines and everything else? If it went to hand-to-hand combat, I mean, I can understand that's a fair argument.
I mean, if it went to hand-to-hand combat, who's to say the fight's fair?
Right. It's not combat. Right. Who's to say it's fair, right? Let's say the person is faster, stronger, and the other person's weaker, same technique. Same level of technique, same level of expertise.
Just be smarter.
Right, but that's also technique, smarter, right? Wisdom, knowing more than your other opponent. All things being equal, he's bigger and stronger.
You have to have the intelligence to be able to. So if you have the same technique as somebody, you can still be smarter than them in the way you utilize said technique.
Right. So let's say all that's equal. They're smart. The technique's great. Everything else is equal. Somebody's just stronger and faster.
Then, yeah. I mean, they lose. But
right. So if we boil everything down, it goes down to physicality no matter what. There's no way the average person, and I would say that
add there just to you see how much you had to add there? Because
there wasn't an ad. I actually reduced it down to that. I took everything away from it and just put it down to that.
Yeah, you had to remove the fact that somebody would be possibly smarter in the way that they use their technique to give this person with an actual physical strength and speed advantage. Just because this person is faster and stronger, that does not automatically mean that they can win. If you are smarter than this person and you know how to use your technique more effectively than this person, you can still win that fight.
I'm glad you said that because we had I think which Olympic team that was, they got their ass whooped by teenagers. Like if we think about things like this, the U.S. Olympic volleyball team, and I think it was the Olympic soccer team got their ass whooped by teenagers. Granted, would you agree that Olympic athletes are smarter and their technique is way better than teenagers possibly still in high school?
I believe that there could be a cap to how much you learn, or if they decide to take it easy on them.
Oh, so do you think the Olympic team was taking it easy on these boys?
I mean, I personally didn't watch it because I don't even know what you're talking about. So I'm just saying from
this is something that Serena Williams got destroyed by. I think he's ranked 500 some in the world with a hangover.
I mean, I'll check it out, but I personally have not heard of this.
I would look into this. After this debate, go look at all that stuff up.
It'd be funny to watch. I feel like for me personally, it'd just be funny to watch.
You don't even have to take my word for it. I mean, you could Google this right now if you want to. I'll just say that you're being honest, right? If we look into this, Serena Williams got her ass whooped by somebody, and they had a hangover. They were not even ranked 100th in the world. It's beyond that. The next day, it's like he was hungover too. Okay. Serena Williams, one of the best in the world. So we're talking about technique. intelligence. We're talking about when it comes to being smart on the with a racket, everything else, that would be like a tool of destruction for her in her field, right? With intelligence, I'm giving you situations where women are outsmarting men when it comes to this, all this other stuff. We can say that, right? Now it comes down to physicality, right?
Okay.
What happened with that? You can go ahead and look into this after the debate. She got her ass whooped by that guy. But I'm just like, normally this shouldn't happen, right? But I'm willing to think that these situations in society, where the soccer team, where the volleyball team, Serena Williams, and there's even more than this, the whole Leah Thomas thing, blew these women out the water. I mean, we could go into that. So going back to the subject, because I think
who was Leah Thomas? Was that the swimmer?
Yeah, destroyed. I mean, just blew them out the water. Like we're talking about. These women have had experience too, just the same as him.
Leah Thomas.
Now we're talking about more physically, faster, stronger, everything else, and dominant. It's like it's blows it out the water, and that's what I'm saying. It's just
Thomas,
it's rough.
That was the one. Leah Thomas was she was the transgender. So
yes,
are you referencing to her most recent win, or her most recent thing?
I'm talking about in the past overall.
Oh, so in 2022, she won the 500-yard freestyle. She won the 500-yard freestyle. Okay. Yes. Did you know in her most recent event that was talked about earlier this year, she tied with fourth or fifth place?
Okay. She tied. So she would tie or defeat, right? So that actually goes to my point even more. We're talking about somebody who
biological women.
Right. And actually, this supports my whole point even more. Why would we go ahead and put women into combat situations or physical situations where they're not the equal or anything like this? Why would you put somebody who's the last chance of survival, the last chance of winning anything when it delves down to physicality, despite brain power, knowledge, technique, all this other stuff?
Leah Thomas is a transgender woman. And she lost to biological women.
Right. But here's the thing. It goes back to the sexes. Even when we go to men and women, right? It goes back to even that. We agree that it's a biological man. When we strip everything else down and you even include intelligence, include smarts, knowledge, technique, everything else, they still get outclassed and destroyed. Why? Once again, why would you put somebody in a position to defend, no matter how smart they are or anything else like this, when all these situations boil down to physicality, speed, all this other stuff? Even if you give the opposite, more intelligence, smart, all this other stuff, wits, everything else you want to put out.
The reason I do that is because we live in a society where not only women are doing combat, where women own guns, where women take self-defense, they even train in self-defense, women teach how to use guns. We live in a society where, I don't know if you've seen the video, but there was a woman in the Army. She was either in the Army or the Marines, and they have open combat sessions. And she got into the octagon with a man, a full-grown man, and beat the dog shit out of him, put him in a chokehold, and put him to sleep. A biological woman in the military did this to a man who was allegedly bragging about beating another woman. And she put hands on that man and won. And he was going all out. He didn't even want to tap out in that fight. He got put to sleep in that
I would have to look at that. But I mean, we're already into this, but yeah. So when it comes to this, when it comes to combat and everything else, even in military, by military standards, we had three women pass Ranger School. And when I went ahead and did my research on this, when we go down deep into this, I know we're kind of branching off into another topic, but this is just a good last tidbit I'm going to offer. We have seen the text messages between her and her commanding staff stating, "Oh, she'll get a pass." They don't give passes for this. If you leave somebody behind in training, you get an automatic fail. She's been recycled plenty of times. People have been recycled. They lowered standards in police, everything else. So, and then one of them, none of them are Army Rangers to this day. They've even U.S. Senator had asked a woman, he said, hey, can you show us the results of the testing process? She said, go F yourself. That's what she told to a U.S. Senator. So that's the problem too. They won't reveal any of the passing requirements, any of this other stuff. One of them actually got arrested, believe it or not. I forgot what it was, discharging a firearm, something like that afterwards. Went on to it just ended up being a bad look. But going back to this, it's hard to fathom what the advantages of having a female friend would be. I think most of them would be liabilities, because going back to the original topic, most men are not going to benefit from this, because we're going to have to, if there's a situation that arises, we're going to have to defend, do all this other stuff as far as like provide, defend. Even on lunch dates, when we take somebody out, most men are wanting to go to being chivalrous. But, hey, let me go ahead and pay for this. I got this. Because that's a lady. That's my lady. You know, we're going to go ahead and do this for a woman. If Fatty comes in with me, I'm not opening the door for him. I mean, if we're all things being equal, when we get there, he could probably, it's whoever gets there first. Then he'll probably hold the door or whatever. But for a woman, I'm going to make sure I get there first. So that way she's not holding it open for me, because it's just training society. It's just society, right? And then we go look at this. We have to go to the parking lot. Something's going to happen. And it's me and Fatty. Somebody's waiting by the car. They're doing a carjacking. I see this. It's me and Fatty. They're going to be in trouble. But if it's me and Sandra, Susie, whoever it is, I now have somebody that I have to protect while fighting somebody at the same time. Get behind me, run, scream. I'm thinking about two things at the same time. That's what this all boils down to. I want to ask you a question, though, if you're willing to move forward with this. Would you agree that you become the sum of the people that you hang around with, maybe like developing habits, things like traits, behavior?
Like
we tend to pick things up, right?
Like being a product of your environment, essentially.
Right. Would you also say that men are becoming more feminized in society?
I wouldn't say they're becoming more feminized. I would say that they're becoming more open in expressing themselves, whether that be through femininity or masculinity. I mean, even throughout history, like if we go back throughout history, you can see men exuding what we would deem nowadays as feminine. They're back throughout history. Men used to paint their nails. Men wore makeup. Men wore skirts. They wore dresses. They wore heels. Heels were originally designed for men. Now, was it because of a royal aspect? Yes. But the point is, heels were originally designed for men.
Yeah. That was status. What I'm talking about is like, so going back to traits, as far as behavior, habits, things like this. You've already agreed to
behavior. Like
behavior, meaning like more tend to emotional outbursts, more tend to becoming more sensitive to harsh things, more reactive and responsive, you know, when it comes to
okay. So you want to talk about behavior and emotional outbursts?
Yes.
Men commit most of the crime in America, and crime is typically done through emotion. Men commit most of the murders. Men commit most of the rape. All of that stuff is tied to how they emotionally react to things and their emotions. That's a thing that happens. Women, like I will say, there are women who react this way. That is without a doubt. But men do it at such an exponentially higher rate than women, to the point where you can't even argue and say that, oh, men are becoming more they have always been emotional. It's just that
you tie emotion to
anger.
So here's the thing, though, is I'm ex-LEO, right? I used to work in law enforcement a long time ago. For about approximately 10 years, I've worked with the prison system. I've worked outside on the street. So if we think about things like this, a lot of the situations that we find men in, and this is just anecdotally, you don't have to take my word for it, you would need to also tie emotion to the crime. A lot of the crime that I see is through lifestyle, through survival, through things like upbringing, as far as like, you know, what they're taught in the hood, Black culture, when it comes to being able to upkeep a lifestyle that's out of your means, things like this. I find that a lot of crime that we see in especially the Black community is tied to Black culture. And none of this has to do with emotion. It has to do with keeping up with the Joneses, getting rims that are well beyond your budget, but I need to maintain this or they're going to take my rims. Oh, they're taking my rims. I'm fighting the guy that's trying to take them off. I go to prison or jail, whatever. Things like this are most of the reasons why a lot of people end up in there. And a lot of the violence that when people end up in prison, it's because of this. Now you could say, oh, he got emotional while he was defending his rims being taken off because he couldn't pay. Now, why anybody would rent rims is beyond me, but he couldn't pay these things.
I don't understand that
things
part
like that.
either. I don't understand that part either.
Things like this get emotional. Things like this can get emotional, but at the same time, it's like that's everything. You're going to have some kind of emotion, right? What I'm talking about is like, if they were in court and they said it's a crime of passion, this is mostly women. When we go to juries, things like this, the woman who offed her ex-husband and she got all these letters in the mail that happened actually here in Arizona, things like this happen a lot. Now, granted, there's hybristophilia where men get in prison and they got a lot of letters. There's actually a term for this. But when we look for women going there, it's mostly, they call it a crime of passion. If you look up crimes of passion, they're mostly associated with women, not men. This is something you can look up as well, too.
Okay. So I do agree that crimes of passion do exist. I'm not denouncing that fact. Crimes of passion do, in fact, exist. They've happened throughout all of history. Hell, there's a woman legit known as the Laughing Grandma, one of the biggest like Black widows of all throughout like American history. Should read up on her, by the way. It's an insane story.
You talking about the nurse who was taking out babies?
No, that's a different woman. The Black widower was a woman who do you know what a Black widow is?
Yeah, I do. We also have other references too. We have Bloody Mary. Actually, there's a lot. Did you know also another fact too? Real quick, just to interject, did you know that when women are in positions of power, they're 28% more likely to go to war than men? Now, if you have this power differential that we discussed, whereas men are stronger and women are weaker as far as physically, it's more detrimental to a nation if you're going to war if you have to have men fight for you, because women cannot fight for you. They can't even defend their own rights. Men need to do it for them. Which goes back to my point. If you have one type that's more emotional, to more prone emotional outbursts, things like this happen. Going back to my question of you becoming the sum of the people you hang around with, if I'm around a bunch of women and this is all I'm around, I'm going to develop traits that they have. This would be traits indicative of women. If I'm around a bunch of strong men that are logical, they divert to logic instead of emotion when times of crisis happen, things like this. They divert to logical thinking. They divert to things of like, hey, if you don't do that, you're not a man. It would feel differently than a woman telling me this. Like, if we think about these two dynamics, the culture I want to adapt as a man is from good men. Now, we can have good women on one side, but I doubt I want to go ahead and adopt these behavioral habits, things like this. It doesn't benefit me as a man. Now, you could say you can become more emotionally mature.
Give me 1 second.
Go ahead. Now we could say, yeah, go ahead. Fatty probably behind the scenes eating something good. Probably some fish. They got food in Lisbon, Portugal food. I know they do. I was looking it up.
Absolutely not. Friends, there's 100 people watching. Please like the video. The likes are for free. Okay. If you want to ask questions to the debaters on less 30 minutes, we're going to do a Q&A real quick. If you want to open the channel around $100, please follow them on Instagram. The links will be popping in the chat.
If we can, let's see some super chats too. I'd like to see some support for this channel as well too.
Thank you. Don't worry, Marty, because today we have a double header, so the people are saving themselves. But I appreciate you. Thank you very much for pushing.
I mean, double super chats. That's all that means.
And as soon as you said that, Carl Anderson comes in with a 5
there we go.
memberships. Thank you very much, friends. We just need more 5 memberships, and then we go to the hamburger fund, $75, because we're going to have another show later today. So thank you very much for supporting the show. Go ahead.
Okay.
Back to what I was talking about, just real quick. Do you think, and this goes back to my original question that I don't have an answer for yet, and I'm still waiting for it. Since we adopt traits and things from those of around the same gender, sex, that are most likely indicative of certain things that we do, we can agree that most men will run, that are good men, will run to bullets to protect women. Most women won't do the same thing for men when it comes to this societally. And I'm just going to say that right now. If these are traits that we have indicative of us, can you tell me why it would be more optimal to adopt female traits within a circle compared to male traits? Because that's my answer. I think it's more optimal to have male friends than women friends. Can you tell me how it's more optimal to have female friends than male friends?
If we're talking female traits, I mean, female traits can go beyond, like what would you, first before I get into that, what would you deem as a female trait? I know you talked about emotions and emotional outbursts, but like, what else would you deem as a female trait?
Well, what I'm talking about is like societal duties and functions, like what we see that's normative. What I was talking about is men running towards bullet fire instead of away from it, whereas women would normally run away from bullet fire instead of for that. Case in point, if I'm married and I have a wife at home and somebody breaks in and I hear the glass, do I want a woman, and I'll even ask the audience that's watching this, do you want a woman that's going to hear her husband, i.e. me, saying, "Hey, babe, it's crazy sound I heard. Do you want it? Should you check that or should I check that?" A lot of women, I guarantee, would probably say they don't want that man that's indecisive. That's a trait that women do not have. Is if you look at the two sexes, men are way more decisive on average than women are, where they want a man that's probably going to be like halfway down the stairs. It's not even a conversation. The weapon is cocked. We're ready to go. And it's like, I'm ready to defend, buy time for her. We already have a plan in motion, things like this. If you have a situation where you have a woman and you're indecisive, it's detrimental. Now, case in point, if a ship is sinking, the same thing happens. The women are going to be screaming. The last thing you want is a man screaming as this ship is sinking. So when we think about this, being decisive, being firm, fair, and consistent can be something that can happen in both sexes, but it's most likely in men's because we're more oftentimes aggressive. We'll fight for a wage and risk losing a job to go ahead and get paid more, whereas women are more passive. So if we think about things, do I want to develop passivity from women and indecisiveness? More often than not, I'm just going to say that we see this in society more often than not than men. The whole trope about women can't even figure out what to eat. Has this ever been associated with men? I haven't heard it. Have you? This is the indecisiveness I'm talking about. So if you are the sum of the people that you hang around with, why would I not pick something more optimal that would be more appealing and attractive to women, which is I know what to eat. And if I don't know, I'd have a plan, something. I have a leadership roles, all these other things that are tied to this, right? So if we think about this, if you are to go ahead and adopt traits, these traits that we have in two people, do you think it's more beneficial for men to adopt traits from good men or traits from women?
So you brought up like I'm gonna answer the question, but I also want to address the fact that you brought up breaking into houses and protection and leadership and things of that nature.
That's decisiveness. So, that all goes with leadership and
decisiveness of it. The decisiveness of it. Okay. So when we're talking about picking the most optimal option, why not just make the smart decision and pick the optimal woman who will be able to make decisions, who is willing to get up and pick up that gun. I feel like the decision also weighs upon you.
We just went over the Serena Williams, everything else. So even if they're wise and intelligent, it's all going to boil down to force. In case in point, in my book that I did research for, that's going to be released this year, women are disarmed 65% of the time with firearms, right? This is why when police enter houses, things like this happen, we do not send women in first, right? Because statistically 65% odds compared to men's 12% odds of being having a firearm removed from your person, right? You're literally giving a gun away to somebody, right? So what I mean by the best chance of survival is I'm not sending a woman down to hand a gun over to the person that entered my house, right? That's what I mean. So even if you think like, oh, wise, she's still intelligent, she's still smart, she has a plan, all this other stuff, it's all going to boil down to use of force, right? There's what we call a use of force continuum, which men use all the time. Case in point, Chris Brown's walking with somebody, right? And a woman can tell me, well, he hasn't protected shit. Well, look at the mountain walking next to him, right? His presence is considered the first chain of use of force. It's called the use of force continuum. There's presence, verbal, and then there's physicality, everything else. So there's like a chain of events that happens. If a woman's walking downstairs, right, and she's creeping, trying to find this guy, if she gets in close proximity, there's a 65% chance he's taking the gun. And this is what I mean. This is why you want to send men down first, right? Down the stairs with the firearm, ready to go ahead and unload on the perpetrator, because not only are the odds of being having this disarm for the guy, but let's say that it does get taken, right? And there's a scuffle. It's now mano y mano, physical and physical, gun gets knocked out. Do you think that the women on average, if both of them get disarmed, all things being fair, downstairs, because if I get within 12 feet of somebody or 10 feet, I can take your gun, right? If I'm not ready, if I'm not aimed, I can go ahead and take a firearm, right? That includes knives, everything else. This is why you have police officers just let off real quick. If you're within 10, well, you could have just talked to them and there was the bridge and gap in space from having your firearm being disarmed from firearms is so like they can go ahead and gain this seconds, right, to take away your firearm or knife or whatever weapon you have. That's why you want to take them out before they do this. If she's going down the stairs and it gets taken away and the man gets theirs taken away, it's physical force, right? Who has the greater monopoly of force? It's a man versus a man or a woman versus a woman. So if I was in Vegas and I was to go ahead and place bets and odds, I'm putting my money on the man to send down. You don't want the odds of the stats of 65% chance of being disarmed from a firearm or anything like this on a woman. So that's not a good avenue to go down. So this is why it's more optimal to have a man that's more decisive, because we own the monopoly of force. The odds and stats don't bode well in your favor on this. And we have to think, because in my worldview, women's lives are societally are more valuable than men's are. We die for them. We protect them. This isn't just a trope or something that's just, I would agree that a tradition is a successful experiment. By tradition, even, men have always died for women. And that's always been because when it comes down to force and defending women, we are the best to do this. Women aren't the best at defending us from other men. It's men defending men from men's defending women from other men, and this has always been a historical thing. We can always delve into that too. But I mean, you want traits. This is my whole point. You want traits from men. You don't want traits from women. Because it all boils down to both.
I believe there can be beneficial traits from both.
What are the beneficial traits that you can get from women that you can't get from men?
Empathy.
Men are empathetic.
Well, men can be empathetic, but on average, women tend to be more empathetic than men.
Wait, hold on. You're saying that women can be more empathetic than men?
On average, women do tend to be more empathetic than men.
I mean, the rates of baby deletion are increasing. The rates of depression in women are increasing as far as like harm to kids and children. That's also increasing as well too. I mean, I hardly see anything as far. I mean, we even had a SIDS epidemic that happened a while ago, right? And when they were doing studies on this, I can't really prove anything, but you're talking about babies that were being with SIDS. You know what SIDS is, right? When baby sudden infant death syndrome, a lot of babies were passing away, right, en masse. Well, societally, we've always assumed that this is the whole thing that's happening as far as like women, right? Women have been assumed to have a baby die or pass away in their care, right? They never do autopsies on this. They never done autopsies, so they can't determine what really is the cause of it. It's always been assumed. So I have a working hypothesis in my head that I believe that babies were getting snuffed out for a large part of history. And I think that has been a thing that's been happening and probably still happens, actually. If you look at the rates, I should have sent Fatty this too, but it had nothing to do with it, the whole debate. But women are more abusive to children than men are by far. So I don't really see the empathy. I think societally we perceive them to be more empathetic because they're more daycare workers, things like this, more nurturing. But men are just as empathetic, actually, because if you look at the rates of abuse in homes, it's less when you have single parent dads versus single parent moms. I don't really see that. You're going to have to go ahead and reconcile that somehow for me.
I got it right here.
Do you need any help?
No, I found it.
Yes, sir.
It's a long study.
And by the way, I'm jealous
it's like
of
a really long study, and I don't want to like read the whole thing because that's going to take up like most.
Just give me a few points because I actually sent Fatty something that I'm going to get into next.
This is from the National Library of Medicine. So it says evidence suggests that there are differences in the capacity for empathy between males and females. However, how deep the differences go. Stereotypically, females are portrayed to be more nurturing and empathetic, while males are portrayed to be less emotional and more cognitive. And then so then we're gonna go, it says some authors have observed that gender differences might be largely due to cultural expectations about gender roles, which has been shown throughout history. We have set up a society in a certain way that does implement gender roles, which I support in a sense, but not entirely.
I'm still not hearing a more or less because I'm hearing stereotypically, right? And granted, most stereotypes are true. I'm also hearing from your things that you're reading off, expectations. So this would be a societal expectation more often than can and should. Should and is. Two different things.
I'm gonna have to send you this link.
I'm waiting for it.
I'm gonna have to send you the link because because I don't want to take up like the last 40 minutes of just reading this entire thing.
Yeah, we have more 10 minutes of back and forth, and then we go to the Q&A.
So I'm gonna go to Fatty real quick. Fatty, since he wants to pull this up, I want you to, if you could maybe click on the link that I had for you. I went ahead and sent you a link. Okay, great. So now that we have this on the screen, we're going to go head into this. So there's been an experimental hypothesis of a challenge in men, right? So if we think about men, around women, the challenge hypothesis posits that male testosterone increases in the presence of fertile females and increases further in the presence of females compared to male rivals. That I went ahead and summarized that for you. That's not only a peer-reviewed research, and that's a study that's been not only replicated but also peer-reviewed. When we think about the problematic issues with this, if I'm around female friends, my testosterone is going to increase. That's because I need to be more of a protector around them. And not only that, but it doesn't mean my nurturing ability goes down. In fact, nurturing can encompass all kinds of things, including protection, right? So if we think about my testosterone going up, because I need to be more volatile if I need to turn that switch on and turn into the Hulk, what also goes up with that? Oh shit, I'm probably going to be more horny, right? So do you think that this would be more detrimental? Because if I went over to my guy friends, there's usually a guy we always pick the leader when we're around guys, right? He always decides, oh, I'm not going to push back against him because now we have to fight. As kids, we grow up, we determine who the leader is, right? With women, they pick more neutral games like hopscotch, house, where there's no leader, there's no set hierarchy. With guys, we pick king of the hill, things like this, right? So I could be around a bunch of male friends and my testosterone either stay the same or go down because now I have to just agree with this guy because he can overpower me, things like this. When I'm around women, according to the study, and it also backs my claim, my testosterone is going to go up. I'm probably going to be more horny than I would be with my male friends because I'm also straight and they're women, but I do not need this spike of testosterone going up because it's naturally a derivative of us wanting to go ahead and protect women by our nature. This is detrimental. So when we talk about habits, this goes back to my question of habits that we adopt from women and habits that we adopt from men. Do you think it's more detrimental or actually more optimal to develop habits and traits for men or women? And now that I've thrown this other thing in there, we're going to be more horny than probably with our own woman around other women because now this is spiking testosterone levels up and I have to be more protective because not only do I have to protect what I have at home, I have to also protect, keep secure, provide for these women out here because keeping them safe is a form of provision as well too. Which do you think is more optimal? I'm going to go back to the question.
If you want to talk about the spike in your testosterone in reference to women compared to men and want to tie that in with which is more optimal.
Yes.
I'm going to simply just ask, what about the self-control aspect of it?
So we have self-control, right? Do you think that I would, even if I had the most control,
men, but okay.
Even if I had the most control around women, do you think I would want to put myself in that position anyways? Why would I want to do that? And I'm still not hearing why it's more optimal than having male friends. Just because it can be done doesn't mean it should be done.
Because I mean, a friend is a friend. A friend is a friend. It's not the optimal aspect. Do you have a bond with this person? Great. Are they a good friend? Amazing. When you have friends, you're not looking at which is optimal. You're looking at it because they're a friend. If you're looking at it because you can benefit off of it in some way that relates to physicality, then you're looking at a friend in the wrong way. You're not going to want to.
Hold on. All relationships are transactional. Every relationship, and I can prove that too. Would you be with a friend that bums off you we have things that women don't want to be around, right? They're called maybe simps, don't turn them on, things like this, right? But we also have another phenomena that happens in society, right? You'll never see a guy with female friends that's 300 pounds or ugly. The opposite of that would be a broke man for a woman who doesn't pay the tab for the 7th time. She's not going to be friends with him. The reason why is because there is a transactional value that comes along with this. If a woman's with me and I'm her friend and I'm like, oh, I must have left my wallet at home for the umpteenth time. And whenever we're in a violent situation, I have to say, hey, Sally, can you get him for me? I guarantee you we're not going to be friends for a long time. I could be broke around my male friends. They're going to clown me. I'm going to get roasted and I'm going to be forced to develop myself.
Friend. That is a horrible friend.
A friend that roasts me for being broke, not getting
That's a horrible friend.
No, here's the thing. Guys do this all the time. We raise each other. We razz each other all the time.
Why I say that's a terrible friend. Here's why I say that's a terrible friend.
I'd love to hear this.
Because that could be them any day. They could end up becoming the broke friend.
Cool. Yeah, they could become. I could become a skinny friend if I start getting fat.
Why would you bully
I have
him
control over this?
Because it can happen to you. That's where the empathy aspect comes into play.
No, hold on real quick. But shame is a very powerful tool. We've used this to go ahead and steer away from bad behavior and also push development in men.
I'm not saying shame isn't bad, but you don't have to sit there and make fun of or roast somebody to get them to change their ways.
Sometimes you do.
No, you don't.
So it's a very powerful tool. Extremely powerful.
You can be a mature adult and have a discussion with them and be like, hey, I see which way this is going for you. If you need some help or you want some advice, I'm here. Just let me know. Hey, I know money's been tight. So if you need an extra job or you need some extra money, I can see if I can get you into my job and we can help you out with this. Oh, I noticed you put on a little weight. Is everything all right? Like, do we need to like discuss something? Oh, okay. Well, this is what's wrong. Okay, we can try and get you in the gym. We can try and help you diet. That way they can start seeing, okay. And then when they start noticing things are changing and getting better for them, they're going to keep adapting and moving on with those habits without the point of shame. Shame can be used personally for yourself, but I don't believe you should sit there and shame somebody because it can end up being you.
So women do not want the role of a captain for the most part in any relationship, as far as being with guys, in relationships with people. They would rather be as a passenger, enjoying the ride, or somebody that's a crewmate, things like this. Men are, they can be sometimes. We see this in relationships. Men can't be in a role that's not the captain for the most part, because what happens in relationships is, if case in point, if I'm struggling in a relationship and I can't pay the bills and she's like, hey, Fred, I was wondering if you could just pay the rent because we're late. And she tells me for the 4th month, resentment grows. I'm not going to go ahead and be challenged to grow, because you have to allow people to fail to succeed, and shame coincides with a lot of this. With men, when we tell somebody this, we can be nurtured. I think actually it's very nurturing to shame people, because you're going ahead and promoting somebody to develop themselves, because hardship is in their way anyways. For us, we should build our stress tolerance level as men to go ahead and do this. I doubt women on average help me build my stress tolerance level. Matter of fact, they're teaching me to tolerate becoming either a simp or put up with things, because they're looking at me in a leadership role for the most part in society. Women look at men for leadership in this captain's position.
What do you define as a simp?
An unequal value exchange between two people is always going to be a simp. If I'm at a strip club and I'm paying for somebody, and I this is why I don't like strip clubs at all, and I've never been to strip clubs. The reason why is because if I go to Carl's Jr. or Burger King or whatever, and I pay to smell the burger, I pay to touch the buns, everything else, I leave more broke than I came and hungrier than I came. So if I'm talking to a woman online and she's spitting good stuff, good game, because a picture's worth 1,000 words, she spit 1,000 words to me, and I'm offering up money, but I leave more broke than I came and hungrier. If I'm with this woman and I have to provide more security, more sustainability as far as like preservation of life, financial function, because I can't be broke, I can't forget my wallet for the 17th time, anything, or resentment grows, what am I getting in return for this? What is the optimal? Because if I'm with a friend, there's none of these expectations that happen. Because he can defend himself. He has his own money. You don't hear about men running around saying I'm a strong, independent man. That's not a thing. In fact, it would be weird for us to hear other men say this. I'm still not hearing how women are more optimal than men. All you're saying is equal, right? But even if we delve down into the situation when it comes down to her going down the stairs and getting disarmed by a firearm, and the guy does, it's not equal. So we keep running into this wall of inequality. We're always going to run into this, and this is always going to delve into societal tradition, function, duty, and it's always going to play a part in this. Force will always be a part of this, and you can't divorce the two. But if we can't divorce the two, why would you go ahead and promote something that's exploitation? This is literally what this is. If a woman's asking me to go out with her, she's enjoying all the security, my finances, all my protection, everything else.
Who makes the decision to pay for that stuff, though? Who makes the
right?
decision?
But is that normative for the most part? Do you think that's even?
Who makes the decision to pay for it? Are you giving her the option to pay for her own things? Are you
she has
leaving
a voice
that
just like I do?
Okay, but me personally, if I go out and they decide to whip out their car before I can whip mine out, and they tell me, "Oh no, I got you," I'm not going to turn that down, and I'm a
cool
man.
Great. Okay, we're good on that part, but I have to walk her to her car afterwards.
It's a free thing. You make that decision.
My life is not free for the taking. This is crazy.
But that's your decision. If you don't want to pay for it, if you want her to pay for her own thing, say that.
No, wait, hold on. We're past that. I agree with you. We both can pay for this, but generally, I don't agree that that's a thing that happens. So I would say that more women will capitalize off of men paying for lunch than that.
Do you want to know how I know that it does happen? You want to know how I know it happens?
And give me the anecdote. Go ahead.
My mother has paid for dinner for the entire family while my dad was there. My grandma has done the same thing.
Whose account did she use?
She uses her own.
Okay, cool. And if something great. Let's follow this train of logic. And let's say that she says, "Oh crap, I don't have it." Who would she defer to?
She'll defer to whoever pulls out their wallet first. Sometimes it may be my dad.
You said she's married. Would she defer to her husband?
My grandma may pay it.
Would she defer to the husband?
Sometimes she will, not all the time.
Right. So here's the thing, though. I think well, here's something I'll give you. If a man doesn't have the money, right, he's demonized for it. You know, if we don't have it, it's matter of fact, the broke epidemic in dating is a huge thing, but we don't hear about broke women. Why is that?
We do hear about broke women.
Where? I don't see it online. It's not a thing. It's probably like unicorns, Bigfoot. If we hear that, it's because of recent modern things. Modern talk.
Quite a lot. It happens.
Yeah, it's not discussed because women don't get shamed for being broke.
Why is it not discussed? Who talks about men being broke more?
Women
or men? No, men do. Men pedalize status more than anything.
Wait, hold on. Didn't they just come up with a list of like 200 things that give us the ick from women? Money, Cheesecake Factory, all this are dealt with finances. And men don't have a list of like 500 things that give them the ick.
Who would you say those women are? What would you classify that woman as?
This woman, she's a woman.
That's not a decent woman. A decent
this is
woman.
Nearly almost every woman in dating culture.
That is internet culture. You're seeing it from the internet.
No, this is in real life. I go out in real life and meet people, right? This is in real life. I've been on dating sites. This happens.
So do I.
And you can go out and talk to people. If you don't have it, she's not going with you. But if she doesn't have that, you're still going on a date.
I don't get that. I have gone on dates where maybe I have like $30 in my pocket. She know I got $30 in my pocket because my check hasn't hit yet. Guess what? Still got the date.
Can I ask you a question? Where are they now?
Where are they now? Oh, I left them. I left them.
Yeah, they're usually not present. Whenever I ask this question, they're not there anymore. And we could say, well, that's her or me. That's
but they're also not there because I have a girlfriend.
I'm just telling you, I was talking about them when you didn't have it.
Girlfriend.
So most likely,
I have a girlfriend, and currently, I will say my financial struggle is pretty tough right now. Still have a girlfriend. Why? Because my pockets do not matter to her. It's all about who you choose. She is fully aware because guess what? Sometimes she'll cover it. Sometimes I'll cover it. Sometimes we may split the check. It's all about how you carry. It's all about what you set up within your own friendships and your own relationships.
Maze, I'm just going to go ahead and dead this discussion right now and ask you a question. If I'm married to a wife, can you name something that another woman can do that my wife can't do? I'll wait.
No, because that's your wife. That's up to you.
Wait, hold on. I thought we could still have female friends outside of any situation, circumstance in society, right?
They can provide friendship. It's just a friendship. It's just a mutual.
Wouldn't my wife be able to do that?
It's just a mutual level of respect. Would you only want to have one friend?
I would not. My wife would not want to hear me telling another woman that I have a mutual level of anything with another woman.
Most
women do not want to hear this.
A mutual. You do realize so if you are raised properly, most women will tell you, especially moms, will tell you, hey, have a mutual level of respect for women. My mom has told me it is great to make female friends, because when you have these friends in your life, it can be beneficial not only to your mental state as a
I'm still not
human
hearing more.
being,
Let me.
human being.
I'm still
I'm
not
sorry
hearing
to-
more. I asked for more
It's not-
or less. So you're
that's
just
the
saying
thing.
equal.
That's the thing. It's not about it being more. You're seeking more. It's not
It's
the level
detrimental
of
because if I'm a leader as a friend, I'll give her advice, right? Let's say I'm the guy. I give her advice. I'm the guy outside the relationship. She may be more confused because she's listening to my advice while trying to go her own man's way. This causes confusion in relationships. If she's supposed to look at her man as a leader and I'm her friend, right? And I'm saying I'm a fitness instructor or whatever I am, right? But her man's like, nah, we're not going to do it that way. I just caused some turmoil in their household. How can you tell me how we can avoid that?
You can avoid that by also talking to him as well. Have a discussion with
Great,
both
we
parties.
disagree. Now whose side? I'm the fitness instructor. And I happen to be her friend too, her best friend.
Great. You disagree. Now that is a discussion between the two of them. That now goes into the two of them. And now they have to discuss that and make the decision for what they feel is best. Now, she no longer wants to be friends with you. That's her decision. Now you don't have to be friends with her.
Hey, hold on. Why? I'm a friend though.
Okay, and guess what?
Why would
Friendships
she
can
not be
end.
friends with me?
Guess what? Friendships can end. I'm not friends with the same people I was with in high school.
Would you rather a friendship end or a relationship?
They're both a form of relationship. A relationship can.
No, wait,
end
well, are they
regardless.
equal? Are they equal in function and duty of a friendship and a relationship?
The
Meaning
thing-
like boyfriend girlfriend.
They can be. They can
Oh,
be.
well, hold on. That can't be because I'm having sex with one and I'm not having sex with the other. I have more of a duty to protect one than the other because I spend more time with the other.
Here's the thing, though. Just because that's why I put that sex thing in there, because you just brought it. Just because you sleeping with that person doesn't mean anything.
It means a lot.
That means absolutely nothing.
It means a lot because within the confines of a marriage, I have a duty now. That is now a duty. I don't have a duty to a woman outside the relationship. I don't.
But the thing is, you're sleeping with this person. That's just another aspect of that relationship.
Do you think we're more vulnerable when we sleep with women?
That is one aspect outside of your friendship that you have in a relationship.
Cool. That's major though. Do you think we're more vulnerable when we sleep with a woman as opposed to women we don't sleep with?
Say that one more time. Do I think it's
Are we more vulnerable with women we sleep with as opposed to women we don't sleep with?
I'm vulnerable with a woman that cares about me and I care about her. I don't care about the sex aspect of it because sex is just another aspect.
That's not answering my question though. If you're sleeping with a woman, are you on a more vulnerable scenario in relationship than a woman that's outside the relationship?
And vulnerable in what sense? Because you're saying vulnerable is such a like what vulnerability?
Okay, are we more exposed to talk, ridicule, everything else as far as societal breakdown, expectation? You name it. Even if I'm naked and I'm putting clothes, things like that. Vulnerable, overall encompassing compared to a woman outside the relationship. Am I as vulnerable with Sandra at work from the office compared to my wife at home? Which scenario? She has access to my bank account because we're in a relationship. Am I more vulnerable to the woman I'm in a relationship with or Sandra at work?
Sandra also has access to your bank account if she's your manager. The fuck?
So wait, hold on. Bank accounts have wait, coworkers have access to my bank account?
If she is your manager, she controls your pay.
Well, hold on. That's not the bank account. That's just a paycheck. I'm talking about my checking savings.
Which goes to what? Your
which
bank
goes
account.
to my money, right? But this
your
is the
bank
thing.
account. She controls
that makes
what you get.
That makes no sense because she can't control the outgoing of my account. She can't control what gets spent. She can't deplete my account, do any of this stuff. She just gives me a check, right?
What she can do is deduct your pay, fire you, cut your hours. All that stuff still impacts your bank account, which then does limit your spending power on how much you can spend, how much you can take out, how much you can give to people.
Cool, but I'm asking about the
will be impacting that things.
I'm talking about the information, the account, as far as like what you could.
She has
could
that
she
as
create
well.
fraud? Could she create fraud directly to my bank account? Could she do something
Yes,
nefarious
she now has
directly
your
to my bank
account number. She has your account and routing number to your account. That's how your paycheck gets sent through.
Do you think she can deduct finances from my account? Can she take away money directly?
If she has that account number and that routing number, absolutely. If she chooses to.
If she does, but would that normally be the case?
It's not about the normality of it. It's the fact that
It is that we're talking normative functions, whether or not something is better or worse.
It's the fact that she can still do it.
She can't do that.
And the thing is, a friend can do that too.
Here's the thing, though. That's so
Marty,
goes back to my point.
Just finish the point, and then I'll go with the Q&A. And just to explain, the Q&A is going to be about majorities. Okay, everything is possible, everything can happen, but we're going to talk in majorities. Okay, so go ahead, Marty, finish your point, and then we'll go from there.
So when it comes to that, you can affect how much pay I get. You can deduct things like this. But I highly doubt, because I work 2 jobs right now, I highly doubt that any of my employers could just take money from my account or buy a new car with it, money from my account, or buy groceries or anything else they want with my bank account, because they don't have access directly to my account. I'm not that exposed. They don't have my social, whereas my significant other has a higher probability of doing this. My social information, bank account, routing number, what I look like in the bedroom, how I get down in the bedroom, anything like this. My coworkers and other females outside the relationship do not have access to this information. So, which could be weaponized against me, meaning I'm more vulnerable. I'm just cutting to the chase real quick since Fatty's wrapping up here. So that's the thing though, is so throughout this whole debate, all I've heard was no justification for how it's more optimal for
because I don't look at friendships as how optimal it is.
Well, we should, because when you look at it, this is the problem in today's culture. It's never existed before. It's something that's new. It's a new experiment. Our grandfathers never had female BFFs. Their fathers never did. It's never been a thing. Yeah, cool. You're a unicorn event, Haley's Comet, whatever. It's not societally normative. It's not a thing. And that's the thing. If I'm walking to the grocery store with Sandra at 10 o'clock, my woman's going to be more worried about that because I have to die for Sandra if she's going to get the groceries, as opposed to me walking with Fatty to go get a burger. She's like, oh, they'll be back in a minute. Oh, he's with Fatty. He'll be all right. That's common. You know, women, my whole point is women are a liability, and you cannot seem to reconcile how, when you say optimal, you don't look at it as optimal. We're talking about better or worse. That's optimization. It all goes down to
everyone's a liability. Everyone's a liability if you allow them into your life.
Oh, to what degree?
So any degree that you put on it. Just like fellas, if you
fellas, we're going to start the Q&A. I'm not going to run away from this conversation. I'm actually going to pick up in 2 things that y'all was talking about. And friends, we need 2 members, so please become a member. I would appreciate you. Talking about liabilities, Mace and Marty, please. 30 seconds to 1 minute. We can't stay here for a little time. A burglar invades y'all house. Y'all wife or y'all girlfriend runs throughout the window, right? This is a friendship situation. You guys are friends. You guys are lovers, whatever. Marty, did she betray you? Mace, did she betray you? Start with Marty and then Mace.
Okay. She didn't betray me because she can't provide any benefit in that scenario. She's actually in the way. We've seen cases where women are fighting on sidewalks with men of fights that they've initiated and instigated. And there's plenty of videos online of women getting in between the guy, him directing his attention to her, trying to get her out of the way, and gets knocked out in the process. If we think about this, this is more likely to happen if she stayed in the house. If she abandoned ship, good. Men have floated away on sinking ships. Men have sank on sinking ships as women and kids floated away. This has been since the dawn of time. It's always been a man's duty to protect women. If she leaves, my lineage continues, my bloodline continues. If I have another guy in the house and we're in the living room playing video games, somebody breaks in, they got to deal with both of us. This guy is now he's less of a liability, to Maze's point, because yes, we can all be liabilities, but he's less of a liability. He's more of an advantage in that scenario.
Maze?
So when we're talking about liability aspect, I don't believe that she betrayed me.
Miles, please answer the question first and then expand.
Okay. I don't believe she betrayed me.
Yes, you are at home. You don't believe she betrayed you?
I don't believe she betrayed me.
That's our friend.
I don't believe that she betrayed me, though.
Can you elaborate on that?
And the only reason I don't believe she betrayed me is because, I mean, if it was the other way around, hell, I probably would have gotten out too. Hell, I'm out of there too. I'm not about to stay there if somebody breaks into my house. You break into my house, I'm leaving. I'm not about to put myself at risk.
So that's perfect. So if your woman stays and you run throughout the window, did you betray her?
If she has the ability to let off with that gun, by all means, go for it. But I'm not going to sit there and leave her behind. We're both getting out of there.
No. You have to acknowledge the question, right? If you said, if I leave, I didn't betray her. So if she leaves, I didn't betray her. If you leave and she stays and the burglars are in the house, did you betray her?
No.
Okay.
No. Because we both have the capability to leave. We both have the capability to protect ourselves. And if we're talking about if it's me and my homeboy, he's just as much of a liability as my homegirl. At the end of the day, we are both liability. They are both liabilities in that aspect, because let's say this person breaks into the house. They have a gun. What are me and my homeboy going to do if we just have our hands? What are we actually going to do? We're both about to get shot now.
Okay, so next question.
We can bum rush this dude, but who's to say his finger's not on that trigger? Who's to say his finger is not on that trigger? Next, you know, bam, bam, we're both dead.
So next question will be, can your girlfriend be friends with her exes? For both Maze and Martae. Start Maze and then Martae. Could your girlfriend be friends with her exes?
Can my girlfriend be friends with her exes?
Yes.
I mean, if they ended on a mutual understanding, there's no bad blood there, I personally don't care, because at the end of the day, I know my woman is with me and I know she's loyal to me. If her ex proceeds to cross a boundary, she will let me know, because we have a mutual level of understanding and respect. So I personally don't care. I believe anybody can be friends with their exes. Now, if you have a boundary within your own personal relationship where you don't want your partner to be friends with their ex, cool. That's a boundary that you set within your own personal relationship. But for me personally, if they ended on good terms, if there's no bad blood, if it was a mutual breakup, and they have mutual understanding and they have boundaries of their own that they have set, and I also know the ex, I don't give a damn. I could not care less.
What if you, real quick, 10 seconds, what if you don't know him? They are friends.
If I don't know him, 9 times out of 10, she's probably going to introduce me to him at some point, because this has happened many times in my life.
Okay. Martae? Muted.
So this is my thing. I'm just going to say this real quick. No, they can't be friends, because I don't need old leadership influencing new leadership. At one point, she was underneath his command. We'll look at it like this, because I always look at things from a hierarchical perspective. So think about it like this. If I was with an old employer, but I still took instruction from them while with a conflicting employer, meaning that we both monopolized the control over, and I'm saying control as far as like obedience, submission, meaning voluntary cooperation, things like this, of this employee. She's still listening to the old employee who's whether or not we want to believe it or not, a competitor, because when it comes to instruction, she's taking old leadership and instruction in a new relationship. There's a reason why this relationship died, because somehow there was a breakdown in that hierarchical structure. When that happens, you have to wash your hands of the old thing. When we go to a new job, we start fresh. We don't bring in, that's what old baggage is. Old baggage could be old leadership, old traits, behavior. Oh, I know how Fred does this and that. He's seen me inside and out. He's seen me naked. He knows how I am, this and that. He has access to things that you do not have, which means that if he gives her any kind of leadership guidance or anything like this, she may be more susceptible to, and this isn't even a sex thing, take that leadership advice over what I say, because he has more time, more tenure, and more of a foundation to say things, because there could be a topic, something else that I disagree with. She may take his side because, well, he's been more successful at this than you. I don't need any more confusion in my relationship. It's not always sex that undermines relationships. It's role, function, duty, everything else has to be brand new. If you don't have this, all you're having is newness with old things that didn't work onto the next relationship.
The clock is running aside. Okay, y'all have 1 minute. Now Marty and Mace, this is not personal, this is general questions. Okay, is it fair to say that most women wouldn't accept their boyfriend to have female friends the same way women usually have male friends? Is it fair to say that most women wouldn't accept their boyfriend to have female friends the same way they have male friends? Marty first and then Mace.
It's not normal.
Would most women accept their boyfriend to have female friends?
No, they wouldn't. They'd always question why you're out at 10 p.m. as opposed to being out at 10 p.m. with Fatty.
Mace?
As far as most women go, I can say that most women wouldn't accept it. I mean, I can agree on that point. But when it comes to most men, I can also agree that most men wouldn't accept a woman having a male friend. It goes both ways. Most men do get mad when their woman does have a male friend. I've seen it firsthand. Even in my own personal experiences. My father has gotten extremely mad at the fact that my mom just happens to be texting a male coworker, even if it's simply just about work. If it's something about work, if it's something related to events going on the next day at her job, he's gotten mad. He gets mad because my mom brings up my uncle in reference to me. And that's not even a friend, that's her own brother. So
let me ask you these, Mace and then Marty. Are men who say they value female friendship just afraid of rejection and played it safe? Most men, not y'all, most men are men who say they value female friendship just afraid of rejection and playing it safe. Mace and then Marty. And please pay attention to the clock above you.
Okay. I wouldn't say that most men are afraid of the rejection for, valuing female friendships. There are men who do, but I wouldn't say most men are getting, like upset and saying, I'll just accept her being a friend because I'm afraid of rejection. There are a lot of men who are just like, hey, she's a friend. I enjoy smoking with her. I enjoy drinking with her. I enjoy playing video games or watching sports or whatever the fuck it is with her. And that's cool. So I don't think there's in some cases there can be the aspect of rejection, but I don't sit there and think most men are afraid of the rejection part, and that's why they choose to be friends with women and just avoid the rejection.
So to Fatty's point, this is what he's really talking about, Maze. Many men are friends with women because the women told them they can only be friends. I think that's what, to Fatty's point, because a lot of men are just friend zoned. Picture me waiting at a job, interning for a job, only to find out 5 years later I'm in a mailroom position that some other guy got the position. I would be kind of upset because this guy got a position that I've been waiting for the whole time. Now, before we say that, all men are using this as a strategy to go ahead and get in panties, most men are. Let's be honest. If women friends, if you ask, and we've seen this, the sidewalk interviews of guys being asked with females, they're saying, hey, would you be with her if you had a chance to do it? Yeah, I would. I would. Most guys say yes, they would. But who's stopping that? The women, because the women are saying, I would only rather be friends with you. He's on the sidelines. He's on the bench. He's waiting. He's in the mailroom interning for a position that he'll never get.
Do female friends keep men around for emotional support while giving intimacy to other men? Marty first and then Mace.
Yes, because if you look at the phenomena of gay men, that are, emotional tampons for the most part, we would say, they can be able to take in the tidal waves of the emotion, everything else, and absorb it. So that way they don't have to burden their man with all of this. Us men, we could be at the barbershop, cut straight to the chase, take everything. We don't care about how somebody said something. We care about what is said. Most women care about how things are said more so than what is said sometimes, which takes a longer emotional toll on everybody else, thus burdening her man less because he becomes an emotional tampon.
Maze?
Is this like a general
majority?
Majority? Okay.
Majority of women, yes.
I'm on the fence on that one because I have seen women who will be friends with men to have kind of like an emotional outlet, but there is nuance to that, and that can be rooted in the fact of maybe their man just doesn't listen. Maybe their man is not being the earpiece that she needs. Because when I look at that, I sit there and I think, why is she not talking to him? What is he doing that does not allow for her to feel comfortable and safe enough to discuss her own emotions with him? Is he always trying to find a solution to her problem despite her already knowing the solution and she just wants an earpiece? Or is he just brushing it off and taking it as a personal attack because sometimes it can be something that he did? That's just my personal outlook on it. There can be nuance to that topic.
I have two more questions.
Like, it's not cut and dry.
I have two more questions. This question is: would your woman having a high body count change any of the statements that you said before? Meaning, if she had the high body count, would you be more confident? Your confidence would move? Your confidence will go down as her ability to have friends and keep them as friends and not crossing the line? Let's go with Maze and then Martae first, and then Martae afterwards.
Okay. I personally don't care about body count because, I mean, it can contribute to how much experience you have in the bedroom. It allows you to know what you like, which can be beneficial to your own relationship. It can allow you to know what you don't like, which can be beneficial to your relationship. So personally, I don't really care about body count. But I mean, we also have to like define, like, what do we define as a high body count? Are we talking like 5, 10, 15, 20?
Let's go with your definition of high.
I mean, for me personally, a high body count, I would rule that anything over, I guess, maybe 12, because I feel like once you hit like a certain age, you've probably had sex with quite a few people.
So 12. I think your internet connection is breaking. So if you're 12, like if your current girlfriend had a body count of 12, would your confidence of her remaining just friends with her male friends go up, stay the same, or go down?
My confidence personally wouldn't waver because I'm confident.
Your confidence in her?
Oh, my confidence in her?
Yes.
No. I mean, she did it. She went on ahead and had sex. She's a grown ass woman. I mean, who am I to care? I mean, as long as she's not, doing it while we're in a relationship, I personally don't care. But I'm not going to sit there and like think, oh, well, she has a high body count. She has a body count 12 or higher. She's likely to cheat on me. Like, I don't see how that gap in the bridge can be made. So
Martae, and then I have a final question for both of you, and then final considerations.
I'll wrap this up real quick. So if you have a CIA agent, he's got a briefcase and there's confidential documents in this case, yet 500 people have had access to this document. How valuable do you think this document would be, right? How competent do you think the CIA agent would be with valuable documents? Because all of this is knowledge, right? It's just knowledge, right? He's a grown man. He can do whatever he wants, right? You wouldn't trust this guy because he's supposed to keep state secrets of all kinds of other things. He's not good at his job at preserving this value of his job that he's supposed to have. Now, granted, if we look at people, yes, you're supposed to be accountable to your own documents and knowledge and all this other stuff. I think that I would preserve something. If somebody was able to preserve something, it would have a higher value to it. And now with higher value, there's more trust, more accountability, all these other things with that go along with that. If you ask two men, would you rather a burger that got dropped once on the floor? Would you trust it to have, less germs, less issues, things like this, compared to a burger that got dropped 500 times and the guy's bragging, I get to eat this burger? It's a no-brainer. So, yeah.
Okay. Final question and then final considerations, and we move on to the ladies first show. Once again, thank you very much for us to achieve the memberships. The goal of $75 is going to be pushed to the other show when we do the regular goals. 15 members and $150 via Cash App or PayPal. Martae and Maze, okay? Most relationships between man and woman, who uses who more?
I think that women use men more. Men have it depends on the dynamics, because when I look at women have a duty, in my opinion, to have the next generation of kids, to propagate society, things like this, right? But when it comes to in a relationship, men have a lot. We have to protect the foundation. We have to support it, because if we get put out in the house and the news channel interviews us, the microphone's going to be in my face as to why we are on the street homeless because our home got foreclosed, not hers. Because of societal norms, men are held to a higher standard of preservation of life, of accountability to go ahead and support functions. We've already went through the occurrence of, broke women and broke men. I'm just going to tell you again, broke men is more problematic thing talked about than broke women. So if we think about it, men have more duty, more of a burden, because we're the head. We have more responsibility. That's the reason why.
Mace?
I don't look at a relationship as who uses who.
But that was my question. But that was my question.
But yeah, no, I'm gonna answer the question. I'm just saying, like, that's how I personally.
I got you. Don't worry.
Yeah, but but when we're talking about like who uses who more, I guess you could say that men are used more, but as Martae said, that's due to societal norms that have been structured.
Is it even close? Like, do you think is something that is very close and there's a little bit of an edge for men, or do you think it's clear that women use men more than men use women?
I believe that it's close. So for me personally, I believe that it is a close usage, because you're both benefiting from each other in some way, shape, or form. Whether she's in the house or not, you're both benefiting from each other in some way, shape, or form. Whether he's paying all the bills or she is, or whether you're doing 50-50, there's a benefit. But like in some cases, yes, a woman can benefit more, because men do in society tend to make more money. So there's the financial aspect. So that can be a form of usage. But I don't believe it's a usage sense. It's more of like who's benefiting in this relationship. Like, I believe that both parties benefit.
So who benefits more if you had to give 51%?
Who benefits more?
Who benefits more from having a male friend from the other gender?
Who benefits more in relationships between men and women as a majority? I believe women do benefit more. I will say that women do benefit more. But like I said before, there is nuance in the sense of it's how society has structured that dynamic within relationships.
Okay, I'll finish the debate here. Shout out to you, Young Bull. I think it's the first time you actually doing this. I am a little bit jealous of your Instagram connection, because I went ahead and saw you on IG Live, and your camera is crispy clean. camera on YouTube.
Hey man,
is
you want to know why the camera's so clean?
And now all of a sudden your connection went good. As soon as the debate ended, now you are moving. I don't know what's going on.
No, it's because I was mainly like sitting still, but my bad. But
no, this is fine. The second time is a charm. Marty came in with all like lighting is good, the microphone is good. So the second time we're going to.
No, I actually am jealous of like the lighting that he has. I am trying to like structure everything up to get like all my stuff set up. So I can do this more often. But as far as like my Instagram goes, my Instagram live, the camera's so crisp and clean because of the new phone I got. I used to rock with Apple. I used to rock with Apple. I was a hardcore Apple fan. But I got tired of Apple because the constant fact that they bug their phones when the new one comes out, so they start slowing them down. The camera quality is nowhere near as good as it once was. Samsung has officially upgraded their cameras, and I now have the Samsung.
You came to the better side.
Huh?
Yes.
The dark side. I love it.
Oh, I'm so glad you said the dark side because I was going to talk to you about this. So I saw your Instagram story.
Just 1 second, just as final considerations, we're like 7 minutes, so we can go to the show. So please, like, be mindful of that. Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay,
go ahead.
Okay. I just want to point out, like, I saw your Instagram story where you had posted saying that a Sith Lord isn't that bad, and I'm a massive Star Wars fan. I am a massive Star Wars fan.
This side is the best side.
But the reason that like kind of rubbed me the wrong way as a Star Wars fan is, I don't know if you know this, but Star Wars was supposed to be like kind of like this sci-fi depiction of like how Vietnam was structured, like the Vietnam War. And the dark side was supposed to be, in that sense, America, which is why like you have like this supreme leader who takes over and starts taking over the galaxy, bombing planets and kind of just like destroying societies, and kind of like insert itself as like this all-powerful thing. So like when you post, I was like, that's not the best thing. I will say the lightsabers and the designs, top tier.
The dark side gave structure to the galaxy. It brought order to the society, where as the other side, you had kids being snatched. You had a lot of there was more disorder and chaos as far as, you know, the Jedi side. When it came to this, Palpatine protected the universe from other entities and other dark forces that came in. He was really benevolent, and he provided a structure of militant forces to come to protect the galaxy. The galaxy was actually more safe when he took to power. When we think about this, I forgot what they were called, the other species. They were coming in, and they came in these ships that almost looked like they were sentient ships. Whatever that was, but I also think that we're definitely cooler on that side too. You have nihilists, like, world eater, all that stuff. So
I will say, like, the dark side, as far as like a cool factor, it's like a style factor. It is better. It is better. But like when we're talking about order and structure, is order and structure really beneficial when it's rooted in fear? Because that's essentially what they were pushing.
Well, here's the thing, though. That's perceived fear. That's perceived fear. On the other side, you have people snatching kids up, taking them away from families, things like this. Like, so if you think about fear, it depends on whose side you're on.
But that's the thing, though. Like when we're talking about the Jedi side, the Jedis themselves weren't like just like, hey, give me your child. No, like what they did was they went in and they saw like Force powerful kids. They saw kids who were powerful with the Force.
And then what happened to them when they saw this?
They didn't snatch them. They recruited them and trained them.
Some of them were snatched.
They trained them. Anakin wasn't even snatched. Anakin was freed out of slavery.
Yeah, you mean that really emotional guy that had his love interest undo him, which proves my whole point of the debate.
His love interest undid him. His love interest didn't undo him. His love interest didn't undo him. Palpatine got to him.
Friends, we can do a we
All right, we delving onto something else.
can
I
do a
got
Star
closing
Wars.
statements, so
We could do a Star Wars debate
I
another
would actually
time.
love a Star Wars.
I can even tell
Yeah.
you why Majin Buu is better than everybody else on the other side in DBZ. Why the bad side is way better than the good side in DBZ. So
Yeah, a pink
yeah,
ice
that's
cream dude who blew up a planet and turned people to chocolate is definitely better.
yes. Yeah, even Fatty probably agree with that.
Absolutely. He killed people, then he went to the afterlife to kill them again. I think it's pretty awesome.
That's funny.
A compelling story for sure. Funny.
We
story.
got closing statements, Fatty, or what?
Closing statements, if possible, under 2 minutes, please, because you guys was talking about Star Wars. Now
I'll let Maze go.
Go ahead, Maze.
My closing statement is I'm a stick to my beliefs in women can be friends with men regardless, because my own personal experience, and the personal experiences of my male friends that I do have, and the fact that they do have friends who are women. So I'm gonna stick to that. I do appreciate Marty's ability to convey and get his points across. You don't really see that too much in debates when it comes to feminism. Like, you don't really see people be able to like convey their thoughts on things. When it comes to, especially in like the new age debate scene, you know, it's a very rare thing to see. I can't admit that. It's a very hard thing to see. But so I do appreciate that. And I believe this actually was a very good debate. I do want to thank you for the fact that you were in law enforcement, you know, especially as a man of color. I believe that actually is like an amazing thing that you did decide to get out there and put yourself in that line of work. So thank you for that. But yeah, and I enjoy having you have me up here.
Thank you very much for being here. And I'm actually very curious to see your perspective on the same things you discussed here. When you're a young adult, you're 22. I wanted to hear from you from in 27 and 35. They'll actually be great, because they say we are born liberal and we die conservative. So it would be interesting to see your evolution, or if you kind of stay close to it. But thank you very much for your time. Go ahead and follow Mace Jenkins, please. And Mr. Martae, final thoughts.
Okay, so my opponent, Maze Jenkins, I do want to propose something to you in the future. I don't know if this is something you want to get started in or whatever, but I did see your Instagram, and it is very anti-Trump. And I don't know if you think he's racist or not, but I'll debate you on that as well too. But going back to my closing statement, once again, we'll talk about that outside of here. As far as my questions, I never really got you to reconcile this, as far as how it's not, men are not being exploited, but although at the same time when Fatty asked the questions, you said that women are benefiting more, right? So I would say that that's a form of exploitation, right? So, which is the action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work, right? We would agree that things that are unequal can be unfair, right? So there's more exploitation that happens, right? You still not being able to reconcile how it's more optimal for men to be friends with other good men than women. All I've heard is equality from you, and I guess that's all I'll get, right? The other thing is how we can talk about, the power differential. That's never been addressed or never been reconciled, as far as like you saying, going back to the whole optimal thing, you're saying, well, it's not about optimal, right? But yeah, things happen better in society with men being friends with other men compared to women. So I think this kind of answers your question, but I think you still want to remain on the grounds of it's all fair, equal, and everything, even though while at the same side of your mouth, you say, no, it's not, because women use men more. So I concede my time. That's it.
So friends, I appreciate y'all. I'll be in contact with y'all. I want y'all more on debate type of situations, right? Not debate, panel type of situation, so you can be a little bit more integrated and you can debate with each other. But Martae, once again, thank you very much for your kindness. Mr. Mace, thank you very much too. And I'll be in touch. Okay. I appreciate you. Have a great rest of Sunday.
All right. You have a good one, man.
Let me read my comments real quick, and then we about to head out. So, Say Cheese says, my mama, my best friend, fuck these other hoes. That's crazy. Carl Anderson with the 5 untouchable memberships. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Salute, salute, salute. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for the 5 untouchable memberships. He's a sponsor of the show today.
I believe that there's multiple so-called black leaders who believe that they are untouchable.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Zyrex, of course, with 1 untouchable membership.
The untouchable empire, baby.
The lovely Zyrex, I appreciate you. And then we have Patty Pendergrass. Patty Pendergrass with 2 untouchable memberships. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it.
So, you think you're untouchable?
And now we have Shadow Dragon TV in the building. Shadow Dragon TV in the building with 1 untouchable membership. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. And finally, straight from the United Kingdom, Striking It Rich, 5 pounds. If it was about technique and not strength and athleticism, then the best athletes would be plus 40, as they have more technique and more experience. Thank you very much, friends. I appreciate you. I will see you in a second. Okay? I'll see you in the second. Ladies First show starts in a few minutes. So I appreciate y'all. Team Fatty and the Untouchables signing out. Peace.
I can't just stand there, Jojo. I let the thing clap like Toyo. No residuals to the popo. Left a red dot on his top like Tokyo. I feel invincible, untouchable. I feel invincible, untouchable. I feel invincible, untouchable. I feel invincible, untouchable.
Doctor.
Kojo.
Psych!
Who's calling that shit? Who's calling that shit? Who's calling that shit? Who's calling that shit? Who? Yeah, OBO sound.